It's Edwards here and Cristina Davy. How are you tonight, Cristina Davy? What's going on?
I am fantastic. I am super, super excited to be back here with you. I always love our conversations. They are fantastic. You are really inspiring me with so many things. And you know how we go. We keep chatting, and we end up having like an hour conversation instead of the 15 minutes how we planned.
Well, you're just such a powerful lady, Christina. So, of course, why wouldn't we? And I love this topic. We're talking about breakups and separations tonight. And even though I'm a LinkedIn guy who runs a business community of Lassie, we deal with breakups all the time. Like we all at one time, there's always two or so people I know that are breaking up, and this is continuous and it's been going straight. So, whilst I'm not a dating and relationship coach like you, I'm often a person that deals with a lot of breakups all the time. And tell us what you think of the whole topic of breakups and dating and all that fun stuff, Christina.
I think it's really hard to navigate breakups because people.
Well, there you go. So we start talking about breakups and we lose Cristina Davy right away. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get her back. And it's just the crazy world of the internet. So anyway, while we're trying to get Cristina Davy back, I'm just going to sit here and share some amazing thoughts I have with you about breakups and separations and the great stuff that we deal with. And isn't it good? We just started getting the good stuff and Cristina Davy left, but I'm sure she'll be back soon. But while we're here, let's have a quick chat with Edwards here. Now, even though I'm a LinkedIn guy who runs a business network, I deal with breakups, dating, and all those sort of questions all the time. And I think the simple matter of fact is that a lot of women who, trust me, will just ask me questions about dating and relationships. And what's interesting is that Cristina Davy and I have had many, many conversations about this one. It's been fantastic. And while I'm here and you've just got me tonight until we get Cristina Davy back, I'm going to talk to you about some of the key things that I've seen about breakups and separations. Firstly, why do they happen? I think it's a good question because some of you watching out there, you might be going through a breakup or a separation. You just dealt with one. At all times, I'm dealing with at least one breakup or separation with great people that I know. And here's a big thing. Breakups and separations can happen for all sorts of reasons. Some are quite, simple. Some are quite unexpected. Some you see coming and some that you don't. And one thing that I found absolutely fascinating about the whole breaking up in relationships issue is that I always say to people, why did it happen? So if I have someone say to me, Ed, my partner's left me, I left my partner, whatever. First thing I always say is, why did it happen? That's one of the big questions I always ask. That's a key thing. And if you just come in, by the way, smash that like, share, and comment. Say hello. I'm also following us on LinkedIn as well. So I'm actually, if you got any comments or anything, put them in the chat until we get that legendary Cristina Davy back. And it's so good to have you all with us. But there's a lot of big things. Dating and relationships, they can be tough and we can break up for all sorts of reasons. Now, here's a few things to really, really help you out in this one. This is what I say to people all the time. Number one is, why do you break up with people? What's the reason that you break up with someone? Okay, and why is that? Do they break up with you? Did you break up with them? Why? That is such an important thing because what that allows you to do is to sort of unpack the reasoning and see what's going back there. And we've got Cristina Davy back. Cristina Davy, welcome back. How's your internet and everything?
Much better. I hope so. Sorry, just completely dropped. Like, oh no.
Where I was
away.
Awesome. Where I was in the conversation, I was talking to a wonderful audience about when you go through a breakup, the first thing is understanding why did it occur and unpacking that. Tell us about the reasons that cause breakups and how we can unpack that when we're going through breakups ourselves.
So one thing that we need to understand is that we can very easily grow apart from a person, right? So if we meet sometimes, think about the marriage that's, been going on for like 15 years, right? So often we were a completely different person, 10 years later we grow, we expand, we change our values, we change the direction that we want to go in our life. And therefore we might find ourselves in a situation where the love is dying, or we simply don't have anything in common with the person that we are in. But sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes we just simply don't have enough clarity about who is the right partner for ourselves, so we go based on how we feel in the moment. A bit of chemistry here in the tummy, the butterflies, and we feel good as we date, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is great, this is the person, this is a nice guy, this is a nice woman, and that's it, without really understanding, what do we want? The same thing. Do we want kids? Do we want a business? Do we want to explore maybe possibilities of creating more income, or uh, build a house, or whatever what it is? So often we go with best how we feel, and we're not having a deeper understanding of what is it that we need. So we end up completely feeling like we're not compatible, right? And the other thing that I want to mention is that many people don't actually have relationship skills. They don't understand there's some differences, fundamental differences between men and women. I was just talking on a private session with someone earlier, and sharing, it was John Gray that was saying, and by the way, this is a great book if for those of you who are into spicing up your love life, right?
Oh,
So
that's all right, Cristina, but I'm more interested in your thoughts than you quoting other authors. I want to hear what you think.
I tend to believe the same thing. Men need to be intimate and have sex with a woman to get in touch with his feelings. So when he's present with her in that moment is when he's exploring feelings, he's growing the feelings he has with her. And the woman is the one who is needs feelings to be able to have sex. So that's such a big difference between how we are, and it often gets misunderstood, by a woman or by a man. There's fundamental differences between us that we don't understand, and therefore we start feeling not understood, not heard, not seen, not appreciated in a relationship, and therefore we end up having a lot of conflict in a relationship too.
Mm-hmm. I love where you're going, actually, and it's so true. It's so you're saying that generally speaking, men explore their feelings and build their bond during sex and intimacy, and women need those feelings in order to have sex and intimacy. So there's instantly the problem right there. There's a difference in what makes both side, sexually interested. And that I can see that having a lot of problems, because you hear it all the time where, and I find this amazing and tragically shocking. You hear about married couples that don't have sex anymore. And I sort of scratch my head saying, how does that work? A, how does that work? And B, why do you tolerate it? And C, why are you still continuing? Right?
Well,
What's your take on that one?
yeah, people stay in a relationship because it becomes a bit of a transaction,
Yeah.
like safety, comfort, a certain lifestyle, right? So there's so many reasons why people choose to stay in a relationship, but ultimately, what do you value? If you're going to stay in a relationship, if you value financial safety, right, more than love and feeling wanted,
Yeah.
or excitement or passion, right? So you could be staying in a relationship if you think you gotta sacrifice yourself for the kids. If you have
Mm.
that rule in there, you might be staying there even if your emotional needs are not being met. So what I notice a lot in relationship nowadays is that people tend to don't know how to fulfill their partner's emotional needs.
Mm.
And emotional needs are, the need to be seen, the need to be heard, the need to be understood, that you feel like you belong, that you feel like you are excited in that relationship as well, like people have no awareness. Sometimes when I go on a session and I speak to men or women, and I'm asking them, oh, how do you feel wanted? They don't know. It's like, well, it's just a
Mm.
feeling. How do you feel loved? Oh, it's just a feeling. No, it's not just a feeling. We create that unconsciously just because we don't know what we are doing. We have no awareness in what we are actually doing that's creating that feeling. We create feelings unconsciously, but we can do it consciously as well. And
Mm.
many people might disagree with this, but attraction is something you can create. If you know what creates attraction, can you create more of it than
Mm.
if you don't?
So jumping in there, talking breakup and separations, right? Which is love where you're going, right? Now, I was saying I deal with breakups and separations all the time. At every time, there are two people I know going through a breakup and separation. And sometimes I have both people speaking to me on both sides, right? Happens a lot to me,
Mhm.
right? And so I see the ins and
Yeah.
outs and all this sort of thing. And what I want to ask you, amazing Christina, is and there's a lot of great people watching. If you are watching, smash that like, sharing, comment, and say hello. Great to have you with us. But I want to say this though, Christina, if someone is watching and they've just broken up and they're feeling all sorts of awful feelings, what do you say to them?
Well, you got to understand what is it that you need in that moment, right? And what are you focusing on? What is it that you focus? What is it that you're telling yourself when you feel the way you feel, right?
Mm.
You might be telling you will perceive a sense of loss, right?
Yep.
So ultimately, the source of love, of feeling amazing, of experiencing something specific, it's no
Mm.
longer there.
Mm.
And we tend to think it's not going to happen again, or we
Mm.
have fear of the unknown, or we think, oh my gosh, I'll never have this connection that I had with anyone else, right? Or we might think, who's going to want me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if you breaking up because there was cheating or gambling involved and there's betrayal, you might want to protect yourself, and because you're protecting yourself, you might say, well, I don't want to be in another relationship
Yep.
again, so here I am, I just ended this relationship and I don't want to be in a relationship again, but I do want love. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah. And that's where it gets tricky. It's sort of like, I don't want to be in a relationship again, but it's like, I don't want the calories, but I want to eat cake. It's that sort of issue, isn't it?
a little bit like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
I
I
don't
get
want.
it. We all want to eat cake, but we don't want the calories. I understand the conflict. And that brings me to the next point, actually, because I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of people, all walks in life, say to me, and they go through a breakup. And what I often say to people after a breakup, saying, don't worry, you can get someone better than that. That's the first thing that I say. Then they always reply back to me, oh, Ed, I never want to be in a relationship again. Then usually about 4 weeks later, they're in another relationship, right? And this happens over and over and over again, right? Over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
I deal with this a lot in my line of work, which is kind of funny. But the thing that I really, really want to ask you, right, is I find that people will go through a breakup, they'll deal with the negative feelings, and then they'll just jump into another relationship, right? And I see it's like that whole relationship hopping issue. Tell us about that, because that's what I see everyone doing these days. They get over heartbreak by getting with someone else. What's your take on that?
So I don't think we need to let a lot of time in between. It
Yeah.
depends where we are at. Okay, so
Yeah.
I think if you've done a lot of work and you feel sort of ready, confident, and you're focusing on creating love in your life, you can totally go start dating again. But if you're carrying a lot of emotions of betrayal, of anger, or
Mm.
feeling not good enough, feeling not worthy of what you're asking for, then you need to do some work and you need to let some time pass by so you can heal and process what has happened and then be completely present with somebody, right? But some people just kind of they break up and they just expect time to heal them.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes no sense. Yeah.
And it's
And it's
like,
like, and you hear a lot of misinformation where people say, oh, you've just broken up with someone. You need to spend exactly 49 and a half days single until you date someone else. And I'll start asking, where do you get these numbers from? Right. And they've got no answer to it. It's all just their opinion based on how they feel. Right. Because let's say hypothetically you break up with someone and then 2 days later you meet the love of your life. why should you say no to them based on an arbitrary time counter?
Well, everybody processes emotions in a different way.
Mm.
Everybody, and men tend to actually, because of this ability of parking their feelings, they tend to be a lot ready a lot quicker than a
Oh, yeah.
woman. A woman, feminine energy, right? Women are usually more in touch with their emotion, therefore they feel a lot more and they're sitting
Mm.
with it and they talk about it. So it takes them a lot longer to heal because they
Yeah.
are actually so present with their feelings, and sometimes they're not focusing on creating something else. They're not focusing on
Mm.
creating love, on creating a sense of belonging, of creating, exploring the new. There's fear. There's a fear of like, how am I going to manage? Am I safe by myself?
Mm.
There's a fear of judgment. What will other think of me? Right? There's a
Mm.
lot of shame
Mm.
around divorce or separation sometimes as well, like a fear of not feeling understood or accepted by the family,
Yeah.
as all comes up. So
Yeah.
it's a lot harder, I think, sometimes, depending on what you're focusing on. If you're focusing on how can I create more love, okay, I just ended this,
Yeah.
all right, but now how can I create more love? Then you're going to bring more love in it. But
Yeah,
if you
totally.
just focus on the loss, you're going to create more. The loss is going to become bigger, like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Oh
Yeah.
my god, I'll never find someone else. Oh my god, I'm
Yeah.
too
Or,
fearful to do
or
this.
what I hate, and I hate seeing this whenever anyone does it, is they'll have a bad relationship, and whatever happens in that relationship happens in that relationship. Then they'll take those negative experiences and blame their next partner for it. And then they'll run around wondering why their new partner hates them. Tell us more about that, because I completely condemn that on every level. Just because someone else did the crime doesn't mean your current partner should do the time. What's your take on that one?
I love how you rhyme.
Yeah,
First of
I
all,
hate that. I hate it when people do it, because it's just, to me, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, let's hear your take.
I think a lot of people don't have awareness on how they project their fears
Mm.
and their triggers onto others. So, for example, if, in my particular situation, my ex-husband cheated on me, right?
Yeah.
He was with another woman, and therefore he made me think. The way how I resolved that tension was, it made me think, well, I was not good enough, I was not
Yeah.
attractive enough, and because I was feeling that way, I didn't feel like I deserve a high value man.
Oh,
I felt like whatever was coming along the way, I should take it.
so you kind of internalized that experience and blamed yourself for it.
That's right. Right.
Oh,
So
it's
so
just jumping in there. I find that fascinating, because maybe this is a male female thing, because I would do the opposite. I would totally blame that person and call them Satan. It's funny how you internalize it. I would totally externalize it. I'd turn them into Hitler, basically, and take it all out
But
on
that
them.
doesn't mean, Edward, that doesn't mean that I didn't have a lot of anger,
Yeah, okay.
okay, and lack of trust in men, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
based on what had happened with my husband. So then I start dating this guy who was not right for me,
yeah,
but I felt like, oh, he will see value in me because I don't really have value anymore because I'm not good enough. Therefore,
yeah,
I'm gonna go with this guy that's gonna be he's gonna think I'm too good for him and he's gonna be okay.
yeah,
And then when he couldn't show up the way I wanted him to, then I will just um justify my anger, and I'll justify that my anger was with my husband, but I'll completely project it on him, and be like, oh, you're not this way, or oh, you're not doing this, and oh, you're not, and keep blaming and blaming, and ultimately pushing him away, and you know creating a lot of conflict in the relationship based on unresolved issues that I had with my
yeah,
my my husband. So often we project on those that we are dating what we
yeah,
haven't healed yet.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it is important that we go and do some work to resolve and process and identify and acknowledge what we are feeling and being able to let go of them. So then we are completely present with the person. And we also understand, it's important to understand what is it that we need. What is it
mhm,
that we need to create love? What is it that we need to have that relationship that we want?
Yeah. No, well said. I got to say, I love where you're going, and it's just incredible. And the other question I want to ask you as well, there's going to be people here that listen to this, people who are feeling really down on themselves, like they've had a breakup recently, they're really down on yourselves. Let's say, it's a man who's gotten back into his addictions, or it's a woman that's crying all the time. What do you say to people in that real dark moment to try to get themselves out of it quickly? What's your advice to them?
Well, the best thing you can do is to start creating a new future for yourself and set some goals. What is it that you want? What is it that you want really badly and you haven't had up until now? And then learn how to create that. So get involved into a project, get involved into something that it's stimulating and it's keeping your mind busy, right? So I think it's important to have your focus into the future rather than in the past. Every time we focus in the past, we create more depression.
Yeah.
So by getting involved into a project, being vulnerable with our family and friends, and rely on them to meet our needs for love, for appreciation, for belonging. So connect with your friends, go see them, spend time with them. Give yourself some time to also process your feelings. What am I feeling? What thoughts are making me feel this way? Hire a coach.
Yeah. Cristina Davy. There we go.
It's like a speedway to healing and being ready to
Cristina
date.
Davy. Yeah, yeah. Don't hire me as your dating coach, because I'll give you ridiculous, and A, I wouldn't take you as a client, and B, if I did, I would give you really ridiculous advice that would cause a lot of problems. So there we go. That's why I'm a
Well,
LinkedIn expert, not a
there's,
dating expert.
there's a reason why people come to you, because they trust you, right?
Mm,
They
mm,
they do trust you, so they want to be with you. They want to,
yeah.
they value your advice.
Yeah. And also too, me, I don't tell people what's politically correct or what they want to hear. I tell people the truth, and I give them the truth so they can better their situation. So I take that very pragmatic attitude to it. So this happens a lot to me. If someone's ringing me up and they're really upset, I'll break them out of crying in 60 seconds. And often the way I say it is I'll just blame it all on their partner, right? So if I get the phone call like they're sniffing, they're crying, and I'm feeling for them, I'll say, "Oh, what are you crying over that loser for? They're an idiot." They'll instantly start laughing, and I'll snap them out of it, right? Instantly. And
Humans
then I'll
definitely
say something,
way.
like, "Oh, they're a loser anyway. You can do way better than that." Right. And the moment I start saying stuff, they're instantly out of their depression and they're in the zone.
There's a validation for how great they are and like how silly the other ones are, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But I find it interesting though, because you see two types of sadness. Like, so and this is what I find: if someone's being ditched by someone, it's easy for them to play the victim and blame them. Like, I did everything right, this person did it to me, and boohoo to them. But I find it's very different when they're the ones doing the dumping. It's much harder for them to justify it, if you follow my logic, because they're kind of the bad person, aren't they? Because if you can't play victim, if you're not the victim, how do you work through that one? Tell us a bit about that one, the whole victimhood versus, well, you did the dumping, so therefore, you're the bad person. Tell us all about that.
Well, I mean, I guess if you are not doing so, you want the perspective of someone who is dumping, or the
Yeah,
person
I want you. I
dumping
want two perspectives. So
and
someone
in
who
the
gets dumped,
relationship.
they can take the victim angle. They did this to me, and I was the best, and they're horrible, right? But let's say you're the one doing the dumping, like you're the bad person, right? You're the Darth Vader of the situation. How do you justify that if you're the one doing it, causing the problem?
Well, by talking about what I wasn't experience, what I wanted to experience, and I didn't in the relationship. That's how you go. Like, well, I wanted this, and they wanted something else. I told him or her, that this is what I want, and they keep saying no, 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 or they're fearful, or like, so you will people always look for validation of what they feel or what they experience, and that's why they laugh and when you say that, because you're validating what they want to hear, what they want to experience, what they want to here, like you're like, yeah, you're great and they're bad, therefore they deserve to just go away.
Yeah, you're awesome. They suck. They've done this to you. You're the victim. Yeah, people like that, right? People
No
like that.
matter what side you are on, what people need is validation.
Yeah, yeah. But
Validation of they did the right thing, or it's okay to feel that way, or they are moving towards the right things, and so on.
yeah.
That's what I think.
But we're just saying to anyone who's going through a breakup that's feeling terrible, we're just saying blame the other person and make and problem solved, right? Well, we are kind of saying that in a way. We're kind of saying that, aren't we, Cristina?
Let's just start. Let's go in a different direction and just say that ultimately, an end, it's actually also a new beginning. It's an opportunity
Yes.
for a new beginning. That's how I look at breakups. Okay, it
Yeah.
didn't work out for whatever reason. You can stay focusing. You can focus on whose fault it is, who's more right or
Yeah.
wrong.
It means nothing.
But all that is going to do is create more negative feelings, and
Yeah.
you're going to be in a low vibration state for a lot longer. But if you start focusing on, where do I want to go from here? Okay, what's the
Yeah.
most important thing to me right now? Maybe it's to create financial stability, maybe
Yeah.
it's to create more love, maybe it's to create more connection, maybe it's to make a difference and contribute to the world or to a community around me, right? So often people, what I find out about the age of 40 or 50, they find their purpose after at the end of a relationship, because before that they were so wrapped up into the relationship dynamics, right, that they never really explored that. So now they start exploring themselves. Who am I now at the end of this relationship? What am I about? Like, what do I want to be remembered by? And when they start asking those questions, they discover there's so much more than just a relationship. And in the process of start building and living and experiencing their purpose, they also find someone who aligns with that.
Now, I got to say, I love where you're going and very, very deep insight. And it's interesting, actually, and we both can say this. You and I obviously have been through a lot of breakups, but we both found love later in life. I find that fascinating. It's funny, I live in a part of town of Sydney where you meet so many people like Lassie and I, we met later in life, right? You find late love, and then all of a sudden you're in your late 30s squeezing in kids. We were like that, right? So love later in life. And also, too, I live around a lot of people who are in second marriages and they all found love later in life. And I know you found love later in life too. Tell us all about that, finding love later in life. Yeah. But tell
Yes,
us
I
all
did.
about finding love later in life.
And it was actually, what's interesting is that it was actually only 9 months after, um, it was 9 months after I was in a domestic violence situation. So it doesn't have to take a long time after you've been in a relationship to find someone else that's worth your time, worth your energy, your investment of any kind. Yeah. And for me, I really had to sit and explore, and I went through the same process that I'm taking my clients now. I just start exploring, like, what is it that I'm doing that's not working? Like, what is it in my behavior, right? So I stop blaming so much, and I start looking at myself. Okay, the common denominator is me in all these relationships. So, like, what is it I need to change to be able to create what I want? And when I start asking those questions, I start discovering some stuff about myself that I was not quite proud of. I was stonewalling, I was criticizing a lot. I see you laughing.
No, I'm laughing at myself. So what it is, I'm not laughing at you. It's sort of like uh, I'm laughing at myself because I'm worse than you. But go on, please.
I was withholding love and
Ah,
sex, punishing my partners, okay,
yeah,
when they pissed me off and they didn't want to do it my way. So I was using a lot of relationship damaging behavior, and I didn't even know. I
Yeah.
had no idea. I thought I was perfect. I thought I was
Yeah, everyone
communicating.
does that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
So
communicating so well.
I gotta say, I love your rawness and honesty because I think one of the traits that makes you very successful, Christina Davy. This is what I've learned from you. What I love about Christina Davy is if there's the elephant in the room, you'll start pointing at the elephant and talking about it, right? And I've had many toxic behaviors in my own relationship as well. And I think you've covered a good point. I think it's good to call out your own toxic behaviors. So I have a lot of toxic behaviors. I've done a lot of toxic things. Quite often I would be frustrated in my life and I'd blame my partner for it, right? And I find projection is such an easy trap to fall into. It's like, let's say something's not right in your life, instead of owning up to it and dealing with the pain, you find someone to blame. So I've been very guilty of that.
And we learn that behavior from our environment.
Mhm.
That's the thing. Like, if you grow up
Yeah,
with a mother and a father who have not owned their part in how they show up in their relationship with you, or in their relationship with their part with the other parent, then what are you going to learn?
yeah, yeah,
Like, I'm trying to teach my son is 11, and I'm trying to teach him, you gotta own your part, and I'm trying to create awareness for him how he has contributed to somebody doing something to him.
yeah,
And it's something that I had to understand. So I'm not trying to blame my parents for it. I'm just acknowledging the fact that I have not had role models, and I was not even aware until I was an adult. I was in my 40s when I heard the first time about owning your stuff. I was like,
yeah,
what's that?
yeah,
What do you eat that with?
yeah,
What
yeah,
stuff? Well, owning your stuff, it's I am okay to acknowledge how I contributed to this situation. Maybe I woke up, okay, like it happened 2 days ago. My partner said something to me, and I heard something completely different,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? Like, and he said, well, that's not what I was trying to communicate to you. What I was trying to communicate to you was this. What did you hear?
yeah,
And I was
yeah,
like, oh, sorry, babe. It's true. And I
yeah,
own my part. You're right. I actually heard what I wanted to hear because I was tired. My attention was split. I was in my head thinking about something completely
yeah.
different. I was talking to you.
Yeah, yeah. I, I gotta say, I love where you're going, Christina Davy, and I just want to jump in as well. And for anyone watching, please like, share, comment, connect with Christina Davy and myself on LinkedIn and Facebook and more. Christina Davy, you've got a workshop coming up. Tell us about the cool stuff you've got in the pipeline coming up, Christina Davy.
Yes, yes, yes. I have a masterclass tomorrow night. It's called Break Up and Move On Like a Boss. So what I love about this masterclass is the fact that it creates that awareness for people to understanding what's holding them back. So some people find it really hard to move on. They
Mm,
might be still in love. They feel like they're still in love with this person. There was a lot of time, and even if they're no longer together, they feel like they still kind of, uh, they can't have what they had with someone else. So they
mm,
feel stuck. They feel like they can't go back to have a relationship with this person, but they also can't have a relationship with someone else.
yeah.
Right. So for these people, I wanna create some awareness around, like, what is it that you can do to change that and feel unstuck.
Mm,
What is it that understand? I want to help you understand what keeps you stuck,
mm,
and how you can also move on with ease, okay, into creating more of the love that you want. How can you even start dating, and what is it that you need to know that's going to support you start date again, and also find a partner who is more aligned with who you are right now after
mm,
this breakup, because every breakup brings up awareness about things that are important to us, our musts, our shoulds, our non-negotiables, our
mm.
threshold rules, something that I will never, like, if this is not happening, I can't be
Yeah,
like. non-negotiable, right? Like, if this is happening, I can't be with you anymore. So
Yeah.
we, through a breakup, we get a lot more awareness about that, and therefore, okay, we are actually more likely to pick someone better.
Yeah. Yeah, love it, love it. I gotta say, as I said, often when anyone, male, female, reach out to me and say, I'm dealing with a breakup, the first thing I do is blame the other person, and secondly, I say, well, we need to get you someone better. We need to get you a complimentary upgrade. You know, as a was it down with a zero?
Like
Let's
in a
get you a
flight.
hero.
Is it
There
like
we go.
it's like in a flight? Is that right?
Well,
We upgrade you to business class.
well, what I do, I don't know if this is a good thing, but what I do is I bring them back to the transactional nature of their relationship, right? So what I do is I pull off all the emotions because they're already upset, so I don't need to go there. So I'll just get rid of the emotions. I'll talk about the pure transaction of it. And I find when I make them feel more transactional about their relationship, they all of a sudden don't care anymore, right? It's like,
Oh,
yeah, so that's a common. Is it right or wrong? I don't know, but I find if someone's really upset, and I actually do encourage this, and disagree if you want, Christina Davy, um, pull that off of the emotion. Look at the relationship as a transaction. What kind of deal were you getting, right? And then you probably sit there and realize it actually wasn't a very good deal, right? You're probably getting a really crappy deal. Awesome. How can you get a better deal? That's to me like every relationship has a cost and a benefit to it, doesn't it?
absolutely. I actually, this is what I've done, recently with a client, in like
Mm.
under showing this person, well, what are you actually getting from this
Yeah,
relationship right
yeah,
now? Like, is
yeah,
are you getting something for real, something, or is it all in your head?
yeah.
Like, is it you creating this, aura about this person, and then
It's
in
like
reality you
fantasy.
get
Yeah.
nothing?
Yeah, yeah, and I find quite often when you actually say to people, drop all the fantasy and what are you feeling? Tell me what you're getting out of it, right? You hear crickets for a moment and they go, "Yeah, Ed, not
No.
much." And I said, "There you go. We need to get you a better deal. This sucks." And then all of a sudden they don't give a shit about their breakup. I suppose what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get them to push the emotion aside and look at the actual transaction of it, which I think is absolutely fascinating.
Some, and yeah, it's, I mean, I will probably language it differently, but as long as it hits what
Yeah.
the purpose, and
Yeah,
we'll go
exactly.
with
There you go.
that.
There you go. And that person's a liar, a traitor, they're a flag burner, they hate you. Oh, wait, there you go. That's I'll stop being political.
Well,
But we got Rena Stewart listening. Rena, we love you, my friend. We've got a great friend, Rena Stewart, listening, which is fantastic. Now, Christina Davy, we better finish up soon because we've been on for a long time. Please give us some great closing thoughts and how can people join your masterclass and everything?
Well, about the masterclass, so again, it's happening tomorrow, 16 May. It starts at 7:30 p.m. and it goes on for until 9 p.m., so about an hour and a half. And what you'll learn is when it's time to leave a relationship, understanding patterns, why you can't move on, how to get positive closure without speaking with your ex. Also,
Oh,
the secret
I like
going
that.
forward.
Hey, can I jump in there? Can I jump in there? Because I hate that word closure, right? I really hate the concept because a lot of people say is, I need to speak to this person and get closure. And my very Arabic reaction is just call them stupid and then you've got closure. If you just call them stupid, it'll save you the phone call. There you go. They're just a moron. Do you have closure now? And usually they go, yeah, Ed, it just helps calling them a moron. There you go. Problem solved.
So that's one way. That's another way. There are multiple ways of dealing with it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Just as a caveat, I think Christina Davies' methods are way more. Mine are funnier, but Christina Davies' methods are much more,
What's
much
the
more sustainable for a stable civilization. Yeah,
word? That's thank you. I'll take that.
but my methods are funnier though. You got to say, aren't my methods funnier? Yes, they are. Absolutely.
So, and I want to end this chat with this thought. What if this breakup was meant to happen so you can be redirected to what you have been asking for a long time.
Ooh, I
And
like that.
maybe the reason why this had to end is for you to meet the person who you can create that. Because maybe this person right here was not the right ingredient for what you needed in your relationship. So you are just being redirected towards something that you have been asking for a long time, and take the opportunity to go and create it with someone new.
Oh, Cristina Davy, well said. And for your workshop masterclass, can people get in contact with you directly, Cristina Davy?
Yes, I'm going to leave the registration link. It's absolutely free. So I'm going to leave the registration link into the comment. I tried to do it here, but it doesn't allow me. So I'll do it right after we finish.
Awesome. Cristina Davy, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for putting up with my insecurities and limitations. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, and sorry for the trouble with the internet again.
Oh, it's not your fault. We're going to blame again, it's all about blame, right? We're going to blame the telecommunications carrier for that one, not you.
Should we blame the government? It gets blamed for everything else.
Yeah, because the Labor government letting down the people, failed NBN projects. They're un-Australia. There you go. I could go on about. There we go. There we go. I just
All
can't
right.
wait
Thank
to
you.
I just can't wait till we vote in a new government and break up with the current one. I'm looking forward to that one. So there you go.
Maybe that's another conversation for another time.
There we go. But no, seriously, in all seriousness, friends, Cristina Davy, a woman you can trust. And Cristina, I just got to say thank you so much for your expertise and love. We appreciate you.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me tonight. I'll see you all tomorrow night at the Breakup and Move On Like a Boss Masterclass.
Awesome. Love your work. Thank you, Cristina. And thank you, everyone. Stay awesome.